up for... Oh, shit. Okay.
He is.
Okay.
We'll discuss later.
The core thesis of today's stream, gentlemen, is you're not broken, shy, autistic, or bad with people. You're simply out of practice in live human environments. Awkwardness is not a trait. It's a temporary side effect of avoidance. And we shall discuss in this upcoming stream. But just before we do, some housekeeping. We have two boot camps coming up. We have Rio Carnival 2026, myself and Troy and Les coaching in the world's greatest party, 13th to 21st of February. So if you're interested in joining us last minute, send us a message. Accommodation is selling out fast. It's phenomenal. There's a reason I've been to it 7 years in a row. Nothing beats it. It's, 10, 15 million Brazilians from all over Brazil coming into Rio to party for 7 days. It's essentially a singles person's event. Brazilians are extremely friendly, extremely open, so you can approach like a madman. And we're in high demand, the gringos. So I've literally seen Brazilians pretending to be English. And I was standing there. I remember one time, there was one guy chatting to a girl. She was into it. And he was like, yeah, I'm from London, putting on this kind of, he obviously spoke English well, but he's putting on this kind of weird English accent. She was lapping up. She was Brazilian. And I was just, I didn't want to cock block him. I was just, let's see where this goes. And she was like, yeah, it's so refreshing to meet a gringo, blah, blah, blah. They just went off together. And I've had it before where I've said I'm from London and the girl's friend has ID'd me and I've had to show my ID. And as soon as I passed the ID check, she's like, yeah, you could go with her. You just take her back home. It's mental. But it's phenomenal. There's no one we've ever taken to Carnival who hasn't gone back either with us in subsequent years or on their own esteem later. It's that good. It resets the whole paradigm for dating. And if you're not getting laid multiple times out there, you're doing something wrong, really.
Indeed, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Which you're talking about English guys, but obviously that counts for Americans and Europeans as well, right? And
any non-Brazilian is what it counts for, yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, a lot of these women coming in from, the countryside in Brazil, all over Brazil, because Rio is one of the flagship carnivals alongside Salvador. They haven't met, a lot of them haven't left Brazil. A lot of them haven't met foreign men ever. So you really are a really shiny object. And guys are like, yeah, but I don't speak Portuguese. You don't need to speak Portuguese. It's great for working on kind of the dare I say kind of rhythm and more sensual sexual energy inside us. We all have masculine and feminine, but you lean into that in Rio because it's a very kind of, the culture is very energetic. It's very in your body. So you can whip out, translate. A lot of the younger generation women obviously speak a bit of English anyway, because if they ever travel, that's the language you have to speak. So language barrier, as usual, is not an issue. And
I mean, we talk about this a lot, but I mean, language barrier is, for casual stuff, to be honest, it doesn't really matter that much because you can use Google Translate, or I guess you can use ChatGPT now, or whatever translation service on your phone. Is pretty easy. You can make yourself understood, and they often speak a little bit of English or tiny bit of English anyway. So for casual purposes, that's fine. Obviously, if you want to get into a longer relationship, that's going to be difficult, and you'd probably have to learn Portuguese at that point. But for what we're talking about here, you don't really. I mean, I've been in multi-month relationships with women that don't speak any English. It's absolutely possible. It only gets difficult when you're trying to go to something deeper, but that's not probably on most people's mind in the first instance anyway.
Right. Yeah. So Rio Carnival, get in touch, info@jameshuss.com or troy@realtroyfrance.com. The other thing we've got coming up early April is Guadalajara. Awesome city in Mexico. It has probably the hottest girls in Mexico. The weather's amazing. The atmosphere is brilliant. I've been sat a few times in bars there in Mexico, in Guadalajara. And it's a very, very outgoing environment. They pride themselves on being the second city, which is always, they usually pride themselves more friendly than the capital, a bit like St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Yeah.
And
Birmingham.
Say again?
Or Birmingham.
Birmingham. Yeovil Town with Steve Jabber.
Yeah.
And his sex doll.
Get down the bull ring. Anyway.
When is Guadalajara? Guadalajara is... I believe the 4th to 7th of April. But the point of the reason we go to Guadalajara is A, the women are smoke shows, B, the weather's amazing. But they're incredibly outgoing. I've been sat in bars multiple times in this area we stay in, Colonia Americana. and women have approached me. They just come and sat next to me. They started speaking to me, and I'm like, when they leave, whatever, or whatever goes down, I speak to the barman. I'm like, is this normal? They're like, yeah, they love fucking foreigners here, literally and metaphorically. So it's a phenomenal place to game. There's some really good malls. It's not many gringos. So those are the two big ones we've got coming up. February, Rio Carnival, and Guadalajara in April. So get in touch for those.
And they're going to be awesome. They're going to be fucking amazing.
Yes. And the other thing we've got coming up, if you're too lazy to leave your house, well, not leave your house, but leave your city, and you want to learn this stuff, you've been watching myself, Troy and Les, for a long time, and you think, right, I'm bored of fucking listening to them speaking about talking to women. I actually want to fucking go and do it. I want to learn this skill set because it is a learned skill, the ability to flirt, be playful with the world, go and socialize and seduce. Our flagship course, the Approach Academy Accelerator, is being re-released, restarted for 10 lucky men on the 14th of February. So we've got a few spaces left for that. Get in touch and do the course remotely. It's 10 weeks. It's gamified challenges. It's video content you consume, and it's 24/7 accountability on WhatsApp for myself, Troy, and Les. And you have the other guys for the camaraderie element doing the program with you. It's really, really good. This is what the ideal situation really is. You do the Approach Academy Accelerator, bed it down in your own city, the right habits with our help, and it's a game, it's playful. And then you come in as a kind of graduation ceremony, take a boatload of cocaine and bang a boatload of hookers within Troy. I mean, come on.
You must have said that wrong.
Yeah, Freudian slip. No, we come and obviously learn in the flesh how to do this stuff, and you come to a really cool environment like Rio Carnival or Day of the Dead or one of these, and you just have a blast. Valuetainment. These are phenomenal trips. They're great for bonding. You meet some guys who are in the same position. I think what I've noticed from speaking to a lot of clients is they'll get to say mid-30s, all their original friends are settled down, and they'll say, oh, fuck, they'll be thinking, fuck, I'm the weirdo for being on my own. Well, you're not, actually. There are many, many men who are out there up for traveling around, going out, hitting on women, having fun, and that's the environment you want to learn in, right? So you join us at boot camp, you hit it hard with the day game, we go out, do some bar game, fuckload of fun, you speak to girls, you're in the trenches, you get a bit of rejection, you laugh it off with the guys around you, you get back in, you go on an instant date, you take a girl home. These are the stories you remember, right?
Yeah.
We optimize memories for novelty and intensity, and you get that on these live training immersions. So upcoming Approach Academy Accelerator, get in touch. Rio Carnival, February, get in touch. And Guadalajara, Mexico, get in touch in April.
Indeed. And
with all that, without further ado, we have, what's the actual title of the stream? So you're not awkward, you're just socially deconditioned. I've written down some points, so let's go through them one by one. Number one, social awkwardness is a skill deficit, not an identity. Men personalize what is purely mechanical. If you stop lifting in the gym, you get weak. If you stop talking to strangers, you get socially stiff. Not that type of stiff, but stiff, awkward. That stiffness feels like there's something wrong with me. Nothing is wrong. The system is rusty. I mean, in your own life, have you kind of seen this when you've taken off a bit of time from being social and hidden in your man cave with a bunch of crystal meth and, shut the curtain? Do you find
yeah, absolutely. I mean, pretty much every day, really.
Right.
I mean, it's like every day you need to start the engine again, And actually, I'm exaggerating. I mean, I'm a lot more socially fluid now than I ever was at any point in my life. So actually, now it's not quite so much like that. But if I left it for a week or a couple of weeks or a month, for sure I'd be rusty. And it's not even so much. I think after time, the muscle memory of how to talk and what to say and all that kind of stuff is probably embedded, but it's how you're coming across when you're doing that, And when I am on good form, because I've been socializing a lot over multiple days, then the interactions I have just go better, Like it's just easier. People just seem to warm to me better. If I've been out of the social mix for a couple of weeks or something, go back in. You're just a bit awkward. You're a little bit off. Your timing's not as good, and
you're overthinking as well. I find we often overthink it if we haven't done it much, or we've kind of dropped out. We start overthinking things a bit too much. That comes across in your vibe.
Yeah,
you're more hesitant, aren't you? You don't necessarily go straight in. You kind of second guess yourself a bit. Miss some opportunities. Like any skill set, you're just not match fit. It's like sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of it is on a very micro level. It's not like, oh, so I say this and she's going to like me, or I say this to a group of people in a pub and they're all going to like that banter. It's not that so much. It's like, how are you saying it? What's your posture like? What's your body contact? Sorry, your eye contact like? What's the way your body is positioned according to them like? It's all of these little things. And those things, I think, can go quite quickly. So even if you know what to say, because you've got on ChatGPT and you've got a load of lines that you can say in a social situation, it's more about the delivery. And that, I think, is the thing that needs to be, consistently practiced in order to keep sharp.
Yeah, there's a few of us have talked about this before, use this kind of keyword, but how do you say it? Effortlessness. Yeah, to just when you're in a flow state with this stuff, often the best interactions I find are happening when you've spoke to a few people that day and you just randomly vibe with someone, right? It's very, very rarely the first conversation. And we just have to walk out there. Every day I kind of reset and I'll have a word with myself in the mirror before I leave the house and be like, right, how the most social version of me act today? Because if you act as if long enough, you simply become that version.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how quickly we lose this, but we regain it very fast and you feel better. The point is you're maximizing opportunities, but also you are just feeling better in yourself. What's the comment from the third you just posted up there? Is it worth reading out?
Only because he's talking about clavicular, who we were talking about before we came on.
Seeing clavicular everywhere currently, complete opposite of what you guys teach, ? Thoughts on him, ? Should we all be hitting ourselves in the face with hammers to maximize game results? ? 3 questions.
I tried the math.
You've tried
the math. Not really. I'm joking. Don't hit yourself. No, I mean, I wouldn't. We were talking about this before the stream came on, actually, because he's obviously gone a bit viral at the moment. And there was this thing that happened in Miami the other day, and with Andrew Tate and all these people. And yeah, I mean, I've watched a bit of his stuff over the last sort of month or so, and he's pretty entertaining. I think he's quite funny. It's just a funny phenomenon that we've got a guy literally online talking about hitting himself in the face with hammers and taking crystal meth and, to lose weight and all this sort of stuff. I personally don't take it that seriously. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sitting there going, I'm going to take some notes on this. I just see it as kind of entertainment. I just think it's like a ridiculous sort of spectacle. I don't know how serious he is about that stuff. I mean, apparently he came up out of the black pill, forums and things like this. And, apparently hard maxing, which is the stuff that he's talking about. So you've got soft maxing, which is kind of, I don't know, wear some shoes with bigger heels on them, and I don't know, wear a turtleneck so your neck looks sharp. But that's sort of like soft maxing. And then hard maxing is the stuff he's talking about, which is more like the going to Turkey and get your legs broken and recast so that you look taller and so that you are taller, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know really. I think there's an in-between route, which is that, you should look as good as possible. I mean, he's right about that. Looks do count. Yeah, for sure, 100%. But I wrote an email to my subscribers this morning about this. But equally, we've worked with guys who are very good looking, who are not really pulling a muscle, So there was a video of Clavicular at the party he was at the other night, awkwardly talking to 2 girls about how he takes meth, and the girls are like, "What the hell?" And he might be neurodivergent, so we could all sympathise with that. But it's sort of like it's not enough just to look good. It's also about how you're coming across, and ideally, you want to maximise both.
We've been in the trenches long enough to know looks alone don't do shit. They might do when you're 18, when you're 19, you're still at school, or your first year at university is more geared around looks. But I'd still say a guy who is dominant and charismatic is going to beat a guy who's good looking. But the whole problem with the black pill lens is the black pill philosophy is viewing the world as we do women. We see in women fertility cues and age, right? They're that's the predilection of the mating and dating arena from a male perspective, because that's how evolution has built it, right? Safety of the offspring from a fertility perspective. But to see it the other way around, women don't see that the same, right? They will value charisma, charm, game, social status, dominant cues? Are you dominant over other men? And yeah, looks might give you a foot in the door. I know when I'm wearing a suit, Troy's very well dressed, obviously. We're playing this James Bond character. We're walking around, we're looking good, we feel good. Yes, that opens the door. We get more indicators of interest. But if you go in there and you fall flat because you basically haven't been socializing or you're a bit awkward, women don't forgive that shit. They always hold you to a higher standard if you look good. They expect fireworks, right? So, yeah, looks alone is going to do fuck all. It really is.
We both leaned into bits of looks maxing, I suppose. I mean, most notably Botox. I think we've both done Botox.
We're big on the good-looking loser mentality, which is, you know, part of his mentality was look as good as possible, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Why not? Why not look as good as possible? I mean, I've had my
snout. You've had a nose job.
well. He actually said, "Do you want all the bumps correct?" And I was like, "What? Have I got loads of bumps?" And he was like, "Do you want them done?" Like, because I've got deviated septum from being hit the face before, not with a hammer, other means. And I was like, "No, just leave my nose as it is." But yeah, we both have Botox. You know, we'll both use things like, this is very basic, but just moisturizer. Yeah. You know, we'll both take, you know, I'm on CRT, which you could argue kind of as a fertility youth in there, right? We'll do things, we'll dress well. Why not look as good as possible? But part of the reason I think we both do that is because we want to feel confident as well, rather than anything else, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, as I say, I mean, I've seen it play out with clients, and I mean, I always think back to this time I was in Kyiv before the conflict kicked off, and I was working with a guy, American guy, I think had come through you, James. I'm not sure where he came from, but great guy, very good looking, like really, really good looking. And people would assume, and well dressed and everything as well, people would assume, and people ask sometimes, so when you get good looking clients, do they just, you know, clean up and the others are left in the dust? And actually, not really, no. I mean, he did okay. He got some numbers and things, but the guy who did best on that particular boot camp was a British guy who was not hugely great looking. I mean, he was all right. He wasn't like a male model, but he had a bit of banter. He had a certain cheekiness to him. He had a certain charm, and he was the one who was doing really, really well. This good-looking guy was, he did all right, but not markedly better than anybody else.
When you have good looks combined with, or looking as good as possible, combined with bold, playful social freedom, then you have something very special. But I'd argue a good-looking dude, a guy who looks very good with not much bold, playful social freedom, is going to get absolutely blasted out of the water by a guy with high levels of playful, bold social freedom who doesn't look very good.
Well, arguably, in the group of these people that went out in Miami the other night, because the Tates were there, I would say probably the most. Well, okay, you got Justin Waller,
right?
But Tristan Tate, and I would say probably Tristan Tate is the most overall attractive package out of them. So Clavicular, he's done all this stuff. He's a lot younger as well. He's fucking 20 or something, right? And
you're not in the prime. It's a different beast.
I mean, guys are obsessed with age, and we will get guys coming on saying, "Oh man, you know, it's like you can only be a Chad in your 20s, and then after that, it's all over." Actually, when you look at it from a sort of trying to take a woman's perspective, I would say probably Tristan would be the most attractive out of that group because he's good looking, very well dressed, but also he's got that social kind of dominance as well, which Clavicular just hasn't got. You know, Clavicular's an idiot. He's a 20-year-old kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be women who, he's quite famous now, whatever. Of course, he's going to get some women naturally, but he's not really setting the world on fire as far as male attractiveness is concerned. I wouldn't have said.
Tristan Tate plays more of the kind of aloof alpha, doesn't he? Whereas Andrew's more of the bold.
But Tristan, I mean, I was watching, a bit of these videos coming out and these clips, and Tristan speaks very well. He's got a very old school sort of masculine. He's very calm. He's very grounded. He speaks very well. He's actually quite courteous and polite as well. So, that plays very well for him. He's not sort of really snarky. I mean, at one point, one of them was Clavicular sitting with this girl on his lap, and she's pretty attractive actually, but I think it was Justin Waller who says, "Oh, you're a 7 out of 10," and she's going, "Oh my, surely I'm at least an 8 or whatever." And Tristan steps in, and
I mean, bloody hell, fucking hell!
But Tristan steps in and he's like, "Oh, actually, I think that's a little bit impolite," and he sort of checks Justin Waller. I'm not putting that forward as a game tactic particularly, but he's got a sort of an old world gentleman kind of vibe about him, which I think plays very well. But in the midst of all of this, Clavicular probably looks the least attractive, and he's the youngest, and he's the one who's hit himself in the face with a hammer.
You women, there's a reason that a guy who both respect, who maybe more armchair theorist in principle, but still got some good content. Psych hacks. He talked about it as being on it in a lot. He quoted some huge global study, and it was around 52 was the most attractive age for a man in the whole host of kind of women from 18 to up to 50. Yeah. So again, I think as you said, when you're 20, you're just a kid. You don't know shit, do you?
Yeah.
You might have high levels of social freedom because you don't care as much. I think we start caring more as we get older, but you're just not in your prime as a man. You're not in your prime as a man. And both of us, the older we've got, the more our results get better with less effort, year to year. There's no denying that, is there?
No, absolutely.
And how was it? Actually, we won't get into that. But number 2, modern life removed reps. Men have fewer unstructured social spaces, fewer rites of passage, fewer forced conversations. So the nervous system never calibrates. Result, normal social friction feels overwhelming. So talk a lot about this, but modern life in the Anglosphere is very comfortable. Too comfortable, really. And so what you've got to do with this stuff is you've got to throw yourself into the lion's den. You've got to take the action. You've got to throw yourself constantly into conversations that make you feel uncomfortable. You spoke a bit about this yesterday, Troy, but deliberately, if you feel nervous in the social engagement, head towards it, right?
Yeah.
The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure seat rather than running away. Because it's just thoughts as well. We're just scared of the thought of something. It's not, once you're actually in something, it's never that bad, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, it's like jumping into a plunge pool or something. I mean, that is quite bad when you're in it, actually. But you know what I mean? It's like it seems bad, and then you get in, and it's like, oh, actually, this is okay. And it's very like that with if you're socially a bit awkward or you have anxiety, it's actually, you realize it's not as bad once you've started.
It's actually better to flip it on its head and be like, right, I'm just going to have fun, like being awkward or in the tension or being rejected. And then ironically, by going into the conversation, it's rarely that bad. It's usually the thoughts about the thing that put us off. Most people live in this prison of mental phantoms about thoughts about the thing they've never done. And so they don't really try many things in life because they're scared of the thought of the thing, which is mental when you think about it. Your brain is literally overruling you. And there's a couple of quotes which summarize this, but the George Lucas, the director of Star Wars quote, which is, we're all living in cages with the doors wide open. He meant we're all living in mental prisons. The Roosevelt quote as well, men are not prisoners of fate, but simply of their own mind. We create these worst case outcomes about the thing we've never even tried, and that puts us off ever doing the thing. It's mental. So especially with socializing, it's rarely as bad as guys think. The hardest bit is always when you see the girl. And are you going to take the action then? That trigger moment of how quickly can you train yourself to just go into it? It's always the worst point. And the girl is always hottest at that first moment. The longer you speak to her, the more you get to know her, the more you start to notice her flaws every time. And you realize, fuck, she's just human, right? Throw yourself into the fire, as they say.
Indeed.
Point number 3, anxiety is a misread signal. The body is saying, I'm not used to this. The mind translates it as, I'm unsafe, inadequate, being judged. That translation is false. Psychological arousal is not danger. And it's true. The more you train your nervous system into these uncomfortable social positions, the more you stop giving a fuck. So that's why someone, that's done maybe 500 approaches in the street looks very calm and confident doing it, whereas someone who's never done it is absolutely shitting themselves. It's just simply putting yourself in that situation enough times, approaching girls in every host of situations. Girl in coffee shop, do that 50 times. Girl in the street, do that 100 times. 2 girls sitting in a cafe, do that 100 times. It's not going to even take that long, but by the 50th time, you're not going to give a fuck anymore. What was the kind of most high pressure kind of scenario for approaching you faced that you were like, fuck, that scared me? And then with time that kind of went away, but initially it was really kind of intense.
Well, I remember one early one where there was a girl who worked in a hairdresser's near where I was working, and she was really cute. She turned out to be Polish, And I ended up talking to her, sort of chatting to her, and then getting her phone number. But it was in front of all the other staff. So she was standing behind the desk, but there was a bunch of other people there. There was a couple of guys, there was another woman or whatever. And I literally, did the whole thing and then got her number, and they were all standing around watching. And that would have been completely unthinkable for me, before. And it's still, that kind of situation is still
social pressure. It's high social pressure, isn't it? It's the spotlight effect.
Yeah. So I think it's things like that. And maybe groups of girls at clubs, if there's a group of girls and they're all really attractive, or even if you don't but they're all most people would think were super attractive. You like one of them, but you've got this other group of girls there, or mixed groups as well. I think that was always a big challenge for me.
Yeah. Mixed groups is tough. It's, we often get guys to create a fear list and systematically tick these type of approaches off if they're really scared. I mean, for me, it was because I was living in London and it made sense to, because I'd walk around Holborn and Liverpool Street Station, all that stuff. I approached a lot on tube platforms, so the underground platform, which is really intense. But again, when you do it 50 times, you don't give a fuck anymore. And you obviously always feel that kind of slight jolt of like, ooh, in the body. But you don't have to interpret that as anxiety. You can interpret that as, okay, it's game time, right? That's kind of me feeling alive to the situation. Guys are always like, I want to get rid of approach anxiety. The reality is, whenever you see an attractive girl walk past, the body is going to respond in a visceral way. That's a good thing. It doesn't have to be interpreted as a negative. It can just be saying, oh, yeah, that's on point. She is hot. That's my body responding, telling me what's up, right? Because you're not going to feel it with a buffalo unless you're Mr. M. I mean, we digress. Only joking, Mr. M. We love you, really. You've been the soft, Mr. M. How could you? Point number 4.
They all do in the end. They all do in the end.
They all wise up and go, right, I'm going to swat off to pastures new, but then they're all sat there with their dicks in their hands, bored. That's the reality. They need the carnage. They need the Pied Pipers. We play the Pied Pipers leading them, on this merry journey off the edge of a cliff, but everyone needs that. Everyone needs a bit of chaos in their life.
Yes.
Number 4, awkwardness is a freeze, not fear. Key distinction. Fear is a danger response. Awkwardness is an uncertainty response. Your system doesn't know what to do next, so it locks up. That unlocks with exposure, not analysis. So again, any feelings that kind of come up in conversations, you can make a story out of it in real time, or you could just accept they're there and carry on anyway. And again, if you put yourself, so another scenario that was quite, I found intimidating, which I wanted to deliberately drill, I had it on a kind of fear list of approaches, was girl in busy coffee shop. Because you have to be around, people are going to listen. It's kind of a closed atmosphere. But I just treat it like a game, right? And I was just like, right, let me do this 50 times. And I knew by the 50th time or less, I'm not going to give a fuck anymore. I'm going to get quite smooth in it. It's just competence. As Torreira said, confidence is simply situational competence, isn't it?
Indeed. You've got to think about the end game as well, because it's like the people who are sat around who may or may not be watching, you're never going to see them again, right? And you're also never going to see this girl again. So if you walk past a cafe and there's a girl who's absolutely your type, and you're kind of going to regret it if you don't approach, the likelihood is if you live in a decent-sized city, you're probably never going to see her again. So that opportunity is going to be gone forever.
Yes.
And secondly, the other people around, you're not going to see either. So even if you do go in and you talk to her and you feel like you've made a bit of an arse of yourself or whatever, it doesn't really matter, because everyone's going to have forgotten about it by the next day anyway. And even if they haven't, you're never going to see them again. So it's all completely irrelevant.
The biggest thing, if you zoom out far enough, is we're a piece of rock flying through the universe. We're all very temporary beings, and in the blink of an eye, we're all going to be dead anyway. So in a grander scale, when you zoom out, none of it matters, right? And it's about finding things you can tap into in the moment that give you that ability just to interact with social freedom.
One thing that's interesting is that what I found is that the spotlight effect is a bit less when I'm in foreign countries, and I guess that's an advert for traveling, but it's also just psychologically interesting, because what I noticed when we were in Mexico City one of the times, maybe it was last year, I can't remember, but I remember going to that food court in the mall that's upstairs in one of the malls, and I remember seeing a girl that I really liked there. And she was surrounded by other people. She had 3 or 4 other people with her. I think family members. I think her mum was there. There was like some think there was a guy there, a brother or something like that. I just rock up to the table. I'm like, oh, hi, how's it going? I start talking to her, and she's really flattered and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she gives me her number, and then we met up again later, but or afterwards. But the point is, would I be as keen to do that in London? Probably not. But that is also in my head. You know what I'm saying? Because in London, I would feel a bit inhibited about that, because you would think probably all of these people are English. So, when you're in a foreign country, you can sort of get away with the bumbling foreign dude thing, I think, if that makes sense. I feel like there's a sort of a defense. So you can be like, oh, he's just like that because he's not from here. He's just the kind of guy that does that kind of thing. I feel like in London, I'm more exposed. But should I be? Probably not, because in the end, that's in my head as well, isn't it? If you present as the super social guy, people just tend to take you as that. So if you rock up and you're just like, hey, listen, guys, I saw your friend sitting here. I had to come and say hi because she's really cute. Most of the time, people are just going to be like, oh, he's just one of those guys who's really social and talks to everyone. Okay, I get it. Continue the script. You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking in their heads, oh, he used to be super introverted and now he's doing this. Oh, that's a bit weird. Or that's incongruent with his former self, because they don't know.
Exactly. They're just reading your nervous system. And if your nervous system says calm, relaxed, playful, because you've done this enough times, they just play you at your current status, right? We have this idea, and around this through the boss, you make a really good point. The boss called it psychological mind reading narcissism. So we're assuming that a girl has all our backstory, all our awkward failures, like see all of that stuff, and that's showcased through our behavior. She can't. She has no idea. Also, she doesn't give a fuck because she's the star of her own movie, right? Everyone's the center of her universe. So it's a really good point you make, is we often talk ourselves out of these things because of past things that have gone wrong, thinking the person can see that somehow. It's like, no, of course they can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess there's a little bit of an advert in there for travel, because one of the things people always, when we talk about travel, people always think, oh, you're going there because it's easier because women like you because you're Western, or for money or whatever. But there is a bigger psychological aspect to this, which is that when you are released from your home turf, you feel a bit freer in general. I do anyway. I feel a bit freer when I'm in different countries to just be a bit more step outside socially.
You can absolutely reinvent yourself.
Yeah. So that's an advert for travel, and it's a great thing to do, which is why we run these boot camps in Rio coming up, obviously Guadalajara, etc. But at the same time, just to check myself, I would say it's all largely in the mind anyway, because I could do exactly the same thing in London and it would probably be fine, or at the very least, nobody's going to die, right? I'm not going to get arrested. It's just going to be like, oh, sorry, she's got a boyfriend. That's it, So a lot of this stuff, like you were talking about mental prisons that we lock ourselves in and we have the keys, all of this stuff is a mental construction in our own heads.
Well, I was running that through the boss as well, the boss being ChatGPT. But it said like the human condition basically magnifies everything before the event. So it seems like the world's going to end with the thing, whatever it is, whether it's me going for a general anesthetic and shitting myself or approaching that smoke show. But afterwards, in hindsight, in the rearview mirror, it always seems like why does it always seem like a minor deal? And it just said like it's a condition of how the brain works. It blows everything up to be this huge thing because it can't differentiate between problem size. But in hindsight, the rearview mirror, it's a non-entity. So understanding that's how it works means throw yourself in, because it's never that bad. Bold action usually is an asymmetrical upside. Look, there are situations where we say don't approach. Usually the only one I say don't approach, the only two I say don't approach with is if she's with her dad, because the dad sometimes gets hairy, or if she's clearly with a dude, like they're hand in hand and it's not gay best friend guy, it's like a couple, don't approach them. But anything else, it's fair game. Why not?
Yeah. Because the worst thing that can happen really is she's going to say no, and that's it, really.
I mean, what's the worst reaction you've ever had from a cold approach?
I can't. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil the content, but I can't even really remember, because in general, or you'll go back to that Australian girl in Mexico, but I can't even really remember because in general they're not that bad. I mean, I did have, I think I've possibly been told to fuck off once or something, but that's in decades of going out and socializing. Do you know what I mean? Like in general, it really, really isn't that bad. Generally speaking, they're going to say, "I've got a boyfriend." They might say, "I'm not interested," which has a bit more of a sting in the tail, but whatever. Or they'll turn her away and just start talking to their friends or something. I mean, those are kind of it doesn't really get much worse than that in general, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you meet somebody who's a bit of a psycho.
I've had a couple of fuck offs, but it's been when they're drunk in bars. I've had a couple of drinks poured on me, but again, it's just drunk women where it just gets a bit feisty with them in the conversation. It's almost somewhat sexual at the same time, and it just kind of spirals. I remember making this joke to this French girl in a club, and she was like, it was going well, and I was like, "Oh, mon petit facochère, you're very sexy, my little warthog." She was from Paris, and she took that really badly and poured a drink over my head, glass of red wine. I was wearing a white suit and things. But yeah, especially
Parisian girls are a bit,
Parisian girls are they're very hot, aren't they? Very good looking. French women, I think, are massively underrated. Very sexy, but the Parisian girls have an attitude for sure, from my experience.
Oh man, well, I told you that story about that girl that I dated. It was a while back now, and she was just nuts. She was wearing like loads of pearls, like loads of pearl necklaces, no pun intended, and
right.
Good looking, but very snobby, and I don't know. She was just nuts. It was not the world's greatest experience, really. But
well, there you go. You live and you learn. Veiny Member has a question. What age does the
Veiny Member?
Veiny Member, great name. What age does the 18 to 23 in brackets girl range start to get tougher for men? As a guy with good game but not rich, famous. Well, I mean, consistently, that's the age range I'm going for. 18 to 24, 18 to 25. I think you're more 23 to 27, aren't you? Kind of what you go for, typically.
Yeah, but I mean,
you don't discriminate.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, you know, I would go for a slightly higher end than that probably, but I mean, I've certainly dated women within that age. I mean, you know, I'm 51. I mean, I've certainly dated women in that age range recently. I mean, it's not as big a deal as you think. I mean, I
think you're a great advert because it just goes to show. I mean, obviously you're a decent looking guy, you dress very well, you present very well, you've got a wealth of social experience, you come across very well, you understand this stuff inside out. But it's a great poster because I've traveled with you extensively and I've seen you date women who are 18, 19, 20 as your current age or a couple of years ago. And it just puts a nail in the coffin of this age thing, doesn't it? Look, if you look like Gaddafi's, Colonel Gaddafi's microwave corpse, you've aged extremely badly, you take no care of yourself. Yeah, 51's probably going to work against you. But if you look reasonable and you present reasonably, 51 is not the death knell that men think it is it? At all?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think you've got a pretty safe runway through that. I mean, is there a cut-off point? I mean, I honestly don't really know because I've also met guys in their 60s who are, dating women who are a lot younger than them. So I think
our doctor friend who often comes out to join us. He's must be 63, and he's consistently dating women mid-20s. I mean, yes, we're in Latin America. Yes, we're in Eastern Europe. We're not in the Anglosphere, so maybe slightly different rules apply. But honestly, if you're relevant, if you keep yourself relevant as a man, and you keep building your value. Women don't give that much fuck about your age. They care about your gravitas and how you make them feel, right?
Yeah. It's not as big of a deal as people think.
It's again them thinking through the male lens, isn't it? Of like, I wouldn't date a 51-year-old woman. Why the fuck would she date a 51-year-old man? But women are looking for different things. They're not the same. They don't think the same when it comes to dating men. It's a different ballgame.
Well, I was once in a intimate situation with this girl. I forget how old she was, but like early 20s. And it was quite funny because it's the first time really somebody said this, but she goes, you know what? I think you're older than my dad. But she said, but this is really hot.
Well, that's a great advert for older man dating, is it?
I was a bit like, it's a bit weird, but yeah, whatever. I'll take it, But I mean, it's like there are a big contingent of women out there who do actually like guys who are older than them, and not just by a few years. They genuinely like it. It's not just they're doing it because they think it's cool or or some other reason, they actually genuinely they're into it. Not every woman by any means. I'm not making that claim. There are certainly women who they wouldn't be down with that, and that's absolutely fine. But there is a big contingent who are.
If guys are debating this, I encourage you to check out the Ryan Turban book, The Value of Others, because he has the whole chapter based on why 52 is the best age.
Well, what about our colleague David Guest?
I mean, David must be
75.
He's pushing 80, isn't he? And he's still regardless of the fact Crumple Notes may or may not be involved. No, I'm just joking, David. We love you. Great game. And we'll be seeing lots more of you. Yeah, I mean, I remember doing my first boot camp with a yoga instructor from Germany with daygame.com. We're all sleeping in the flat. Tom Terrera, John Matrix, their flat in Cumberland. Where was it? Near Paddington, or near the top of Bond Street. And he must have been, I mean, he was pushing 70 and he was gaming women in their 30s, right? And he was a good nick as a yoga instructor, but it's like, fuck. I mean, he didn't even look that good, right? It just goes to show it's not, it's naive to just think, right, you get to a certain age, it's game over. It's also naive to think you peak as a man at 20. You just don't. It's just, that pill narrative is bollocks. It's just
you absolutely don't. And I mean, I think again, if you watch those clips of Clavicular the other night with these other guys, some of whom were significantly older, like sort of 40 or there or thereabouts, maybe a bit older. Yeah, he doesn't really come off as you know. You've just got to look at it with an open mind, and I think you can see quite clearly he's not coming off as the most attractive dude there, because it's about more than that. It's not just about, oh, you know, he's got great cheekbones because he's done this particular protocol and so he looks great. So yes, he's the most attractive one. There's a lot more to it than that. And again, I would encourage you to compare the way that Tristan comes across, or maybe even Justin Waller, you know, the way they dress, the way they come across, the gravitas that they have compared to him. And I think we can all see pretty clearly that he's not the most attractive one there.
Do you think Tristan is going to, in a social situation, going to get more kudos than Andrew because he's playing this aloof alpha? Or do you think because Andrew's presence is so big, due to his kind of Instagram presence and all that, or formally, that he'll get more attraction thrown his way, or it's just by the by, depending on the girl, I guess?
I don't know really, to be honest. If you're talking about specifically in terms of attraction, I mean, I think everyone, well, there are several women that I know. Well, we know one who dated him, but I mean, there are several women that I know who are like, yeah, Tristan's a good looking guy. And even if they don't like him or they don't agree with, you know, and whatever, they're like, yeah, he's a decent looking guy though. Andrew, obviously, aesthetically probably less so, but he's so famous and so powerful. Well, powerful, I mean, in terms of social media, that
there is that element, yeah, for sure.
It's very hard to say. I reckon it would be a close call. I mean, for what it's worth, when they were in that club in Miami, they had the DJ was going, yeah, Andrew Tate's in the house tonight. I mean, they weren't saying Tristan, they were saying Andrew, because Andrew still has the
he's kind of style. Yeah. Well, I think Tristan played it well. He didn't like, he's not as contentious as Tate, right? So he's probably going to get Andrew Tate will probably get a load of people coming up, shaking his hand, being like, "You saved my life," but he's also liable to just get a drink thrown at him, isn't he? Whereas Tristan was kind of in the shadows, and maybe that's the smart way of doing it. Robert Greene would approve of that.
Yeah. Well,
next point on the list. Number 5, you don't need confidence, you need calibration. Confidence is an output. What men actually need: more eye contact reps, more voice reps, more micro failures. You don't believe your way out, you train your way out.
Yeah. Very
what
true.
Was the kind of biggest thing you had to train or you worked on? Was it eye contact? Was it slow, steady voice? Was it kind of sexualizing stuff? What was the thing that you kind of thought, right, I've really got to master that? That's an obstacle in my way?
Well, I didn't really know it was an obstacle until I started learning about this stuff. But I think being sexual, which is a bit cringe to say, but still.
No, but you're very good at that. It's clearly something you have worked on, because you're very good at kind of making that intent through your eyes and insinuation. I've seen you on dates, and you're doing, to the outward observer, the untrained eye, you're doing very little. But for someone who gets it and understands some communication and subtext, you're doing a lot. And that's a trained skill for sure. It's something that women are very naturally good at. But as men, we suck. We have to work on that.
that was definitely something that I had to. Well, first I had to learn that it was a thing, because I think before I had this impression that women are nice and sugar and spice, and we don't want to, do anything that's going to offend them or upset them or anything like that. And then I learned
they want to be offended. I've always said we've always said they're sheep in wolves' clothing, aren't they? Or wolves in sheep's clothing. They want to be rattled. They want their cages rattled. They want to be told they're worthless in a playful certain context, right? They want to be owned.
I think because women have the market on soft power, don't they? Because men, yes, of course, generally speaking, stronger physically, whatever, than women. But women really, really have cornered the market in soft power,
How would you describe soft power? What does that mean?
Well, just emotionally, they're
the emotional terrorists, right? They can run rings around.
Yeah.
We're the physical terrorists. We could decimate physically, but women, absolutely. Subtext, they could run rings around men, right? Absolutely. Agree with that.
Yeah, so, and I think, myself included, I think guys will go into the arena like sheep, really, just thinking, this is all going to be nice because she's so cute and innocent, and not really realizing the realities of it. And I'm not saying that to the detriment of women, really. I mean, it's great that they've got that, but we have to wise up and take a leaf out of their book in some cases. But anyway, I mean, in terms of coming across in a sort of sexual way, it was definitely something that didn't come naturally to me, partly, apart from anything else, partly because I was scared of rejection. Because if you do come across in a way that is sexual, you're kind of putting it on the line a bit, that you want to be man to woman with her. And then if she says, sorry, no, then that's a form of rejection and you feel crushed. So you've got to have a certain amount of, balls to actually be sexual in the first place. But what I then noticed was, counterintuitively, the more that you're like that, the more likely they are to be attracted to you. Because if you go on the date and you don't show any of that at all, that's when you tend to get, the message the next day saying, it was great to meet you, but I didn't really feel the chemistry, blah, blah, blah. I see you more as a friend. You have to be the one that prevents that happening by not acting in that way. And I'm not talking about, it's not about doing something crude. It's not about getting your bits out, or some of us maybe used to do that, but I'm not talking about that. But it's about insinuation. Right. It's about the subtext,
How do you even learn that if you're a guy listening to this and you're like, fuck, I need to work on that? But how would you suggest a guy learns that? Come on a boot camp.
Come on a boot camp. Yeah, come and join us in Rio. But I think you've got to, I don't know. I would be in danger now of going into sounding like one of our former clients and, like a bit like Tebow, but you've got to sort of get in touch with your sexual energy a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the truth is that we are all we're sexual animals. And one of the things that saved me, in a way, was being a bit of a, just, don't know how to put it really. I mean, having quite a big appetite in that area. And once you're honest with yourself, once you're sort of honest with yourself about that, and you don't try to hide it, then people tend to get drawn in. I think that what we have more of a tendency to do is to be like, yeah, secretly we're quite sexual and we've got these, these desires, we want to do things and stuff, but we keep that all hidden because we don't want to, we think we're either going to offend the woman or she's going to be put off by it. But actually that can be the key that really draws her in. So, yeah. I mean, just as a small sort of, to try to illustrate that a little bit, the fact that I was going to those torture garden, those fetish events for a long time. All right. And obviously I won't go into huge details now, but, obviously I experienced a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of stuff and everything like that. And all of that kind of helped me because it was like, this is the person that I am. It's not the person I am all the time. I can also be the guy wearing a cardigan, reading a newspaper, but there is an element of me that's like that. And if I can release that when I'm with a girl, that's good because you want her to be excited by this thing as well. You want her to be like, oh, fucking hell, this is hot. This is kind of exciting. And you need to bring that out of her, but you don't bring that out of her by suppressing your genuine desire, right?
Yeah, I think it's just we've all got that genuine desire there. It's just it's under layers of suppression, whether that's upbringing, societal, whatever. And you've got to lean into that sexual nature and understand that's okay. It's deconditioning the sexual shame, isn't it? Really, part of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, actually, we were talking about that a lot, weren't we, before? Because obviously we worked with Tebow, who's who's a sex coach, and I mean, yeah, that is kind of what I'm saying. Actually, it's like sexual shame. It's like,
Yeah.
and it sounds a bit hippie-ish and it sounds a bit woo-woo, but there is truth in it, which is we've got to rid ourselves of sexual shame and be honest with ourselves, and then convey that to the other person. Now, again, she might reject you, she might not be into it, whatever. That's absolutely fine, okay? But there's no point. If you're going to be in the game, you may as well be in the game. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point going on a date with somebody and pretending that you're just a super polite, friendly dude and you just want to be friends with her and help her pick out clothes in Zara or something. I mean, you've got to show that there's more to it and let the chips fall where they may.
Definitely something I had to really work on was unleashing more of that sexual side, but not being ashamed of it and doing it in a calibrated way. And I think, again, the good-looking user stuff is good for that, isn't it?
Well, we're English as well, which is like probably the worst possible combination. I mean, you know, like we're one of the least overtly sexual nations on the planet, really. I mean, there might be some Asian countries, but you know, we are renowned for being repressed and not showing emotion, not showing feeling, etc. It's very different from a sort of like a Latin type culture. So I had to lean into a bit more of, you know, my inner Latin side, you know.
Yeah.
But that was very effective.
Jack Hunter says, how can I tell if I have low levels of sexual shame? I'd say the ability to create sexual tension easily on command with women, right? That's make them feel something, make them blush. You're subcommunicating, you're undressing with your eyes. That's how to do it. So if you're unable to kind of picture girls naked when you're speaking to them and create that tension, that's a sign there's probably some subconscious sexual shame in there. Yeah. Or if you're just scared of approaching, I think the more sexual shame we tend to carry, the more just scared of approaching, the more scared of rejection we have. From my experience, anyway.
Yeah.
Next
Definitely.
point.
You've got to put yourself on the line. I think that's the thing, really.
You can't be half a gangster, right? You're either doing it. Well, we talked about this yesterday. You're either doing it. You start doing this in the social mode, don't you? But then eventually you get bored of that. You're just like, actually, I just want to smash, and you start being more kind of covertly sexual with it, and overtly sexual. Number 6, social skills are just nervous system skills. That's the uncomfortable truth. Presence beats personality. Regulation beats charisma. Groundedness beats cleverness. Men who feel calm feel normal. Men who feel normal feel confident. Number 7, why this feels worse now, 2026 reality. Because men live online, they outsource interaction and they avoid friction. So when real life hits, it feels brutal. Not because it is, because you're underexposed. So again, we've always talked about this, but this idea of the comfort crisis. We're too soft, so we need to seek out some sort of playful, self-inflicted adversity to feel alive. I think that's part of the reason I travel is whenever I'm putting myself in a new environment, I feel alive and feel stimulated. I'm out of my comfort zone to a degree. You know, and also when we go and walk around the streets and go and socialize, there's a certain uncomfortableness to that, which is addictive, actually.
It
can be a cold approach in a good way.
It really can be, because it's again, I would use the analogy of jumping into a plunge pool, or like a sauna and then a plunge pool, you know, and it's like the plunge pool. Remember when we were in Helsinki and we were in the sauna and then we were going into the sea and the cold water of the sea?
Oh, and that was awesome.
And the first time you do it, it's like, oh, fuck hell, this is really cold. And then it became addictive and we just kept doing it. We wanted to keep on doing it. And it's kind of similar with the cold approach thing, or it's kind of similar with the social thing, because it feels a bit uncomfortable just before you go in. You're like, oh, God. And then you do it and it's like doing a bungee jump. It's like doing a whole load of bungee jumps in one evening, back to back, you know?
Yes.
So actually, once you break through the initial reticence, it can be really, actually quite addictive and quite fun.
Yeah, totally agree. The fix is fast if you stop lying to yourself. This is the part most men resist. This is the actions one needs to take. Talk to people daily. Say obvious things so there's no filter. Let silences exist. Don't rescue the moment. Awkwardness dissolves in motion, not in thought. If you feel awkward, congratulations, your nervous system is waking up. Avoidance creates fragility. Exposure creates ease. You're not awkward, you're simply detrained. And anything that's been detrained can be rebuilt faster than you think if you stop diagnosing yourself and start showing up. That's the frame. you know. And I agree with that. It's just exposure therapy. If you have certain situations you find it's scary to approach girls in, make a list of the top 5 and relentlessly go and do them over the course of 2-3 months, and you'll look back and you won't give a fuck anymore. It's all a learned skill. This stuff. It's all exposure therapy.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, not putting a label onto it, because it's very easy for us to put a label onto ourselves. We talked about this before, but I am a shy person. I am not socially adept. I am not confident, etc. These are labels that we put on ourselves, but they're not necessarily true. They're just a state that you might be in at the moment, but you don't have to remain in that state.
Yeah, they're also victim labels to stop you from taking action, because you're like, no, I'm not that sort of person. I could never speak to those 2 girls. I'm shy. That automatically, because you've labelled yourself like that, there's no chance of you taking that action, right? To change it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
So
and we are multiple things throughout our lives. You know, we don't just inhabit. It's not just at birth you're stamped with this. Oh, you are like this, and you're like this, and you're like this, and that's it forever. We can play multiple roles, and multiple different facets of our character come out over the years, and you know. You want to find that for periods of time, even if you are super introverted, even if you do just really like your own company, for periods of time, you can break out of that. And I would argue you have to break out of it, really. I don't think you can have a really happy or productive life if you're not able to break out of it, at least for periods of time.
Yeah, I think if you're scared of socializing, and by scared of socializing, I would include not able to speak to women you find attractive in daytime scenarios, at least say hello. That's something that needs to be overcome, because it's going to massively stifle your life. It really is. Like how much pain is propagated by men in 2026 because they just they're unable to go and approach women and form a connection. I'd say it's a huge burden to carry, but it can be fixed. And if you can't do this by us telling you go and approach, come at a boot camp. Get in touch, do the 10-week course. It's all designed to give you the skill set so you're able to walk out the house and speak to any person anywhere, anytime, and have no qualms about it. There's a massive beauty to having that skill set, and it is a skill set for sure.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, then, if guys want to join us in Rio Carnival or Guadalajara or the Approach Academy Accelerator in February, send us an email, info@jamestuss.com or troy@royaltroyfinance.com, and we will see you again shortly.
Bye-bye. Cool.
Nice one. Is it still